Ta-da! And hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of podcast Gears of Trust. I'm your host, Maynard and Brian. We're into 2025 now. Get through the Christmas season and all that good stuff. My book. My book is going to be published at the end of this month here, moving into January. We're just finishing up the author's website, and we're good to go. You'll be able to get that on Kindle, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all places you can buy paperback and hardcover, be ebook, flip book, and all that good stuff. Podcast. Today, we're going to be talking to a friend of mine that I met a couple of years back. And our episode that we're going to cover today is about welding in the oil sands and being a tattoo artist on the side. So I'm going to pass this over right now. I'm going to introduce Brian McNeil, who's a friend of mine. And Brian, I'd like you to tell the guest here on Gears of Trust all about you and how we met and take her from there, I guess.
Well, hi everybody. I'm Brian McNeil. I've been up here in Fort McMurray since 2006, so I've seen just about all of it. How long have I been tattooing? Almost 12 years now. I think coming up in February actually is when I started this next month here. So
yeah.
I guess we'll get into that, but yeah, where did I meet Maynard? KMC, was it?
Yeah, I think CNRL, I think before maybe, or or KMC.
I think it was KMC because
you knew me when I came. You knew me when I came to KMC. It might have been through SMS too, right?
Could have been, yeah.
You might have done outages at Horizon with SMS or something, right?
That is highly possible, yeah.
And you knew Joe, eh? My son Joe? You know Joe from Albion? No? Okay.
No, I don't think so.
Anyway, somewhere along the trade route we met. And here we are. That brings us today. We spent some time together at KMC. Yeah. And it's been a good relationship. So you started into, I guess, I'm going to back everything right up. So what brought you to the oil sands to start with? Was hockey bags, money, and welding dreams, or?
No. Well, so long ago, when I was like 20, I guess, I started working at a pulp mill back home in BC. And, it was the forestry industry, and it didn't turn out very well. And I think 2006, January, they shut down forever. So the person I was with at that time was a chemical engineer at the mill, and they got hired on at Suncor, which obviously back in those days, they would fly you up here, move you up, buy you a house, blah, blah, blah. So she did all that, and then I followed behind a couple months later. And I always had an interest in welding just out of, from high school or whatever, making stuff. And way back then, SMS used to be called Transwest Mining, and that's, yeah. I drove out there. I dropped off a resume. There was like 75 welders there at the time, including the box shop. So wasn't a whole lot of people compared to now. Yeah, and then I was working just as a laborer for a construction company here in town for, I think I made it 8 days.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they called me, and I rapidly discovered that I am not one of those guys. So I went to work as a laborer at out there, and then 20 years later, here I am.
So I'm not one of those guys. What do you mean? I'm not a laborer guy?
No, I'm not a construction guy, like as in.
Oh, I see. Civil construction,
yeah.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a different game again.
It is, yeah.
So you started welding where? Where did you start your career welding?
Actually at SMS, like officially at SMS. Like I was always dabbling with stuff at the pulp mill. I'd get, the welder that was on our maintenance was only day shift. And, I'd get him like, hey, can you set up the TIG machine? Like, I didn't know what I was doing. So I just play. He's like, well, what do you want to do? And I just, make little license plate brackets for dirt bikes and stuff like that. Right. So,
yeah,
you could like officially drive to the trails and all that back home, because it wasn't as ridiculous as it is now there. So,
yeah. So that's what kind of turned you on to the welding game, was doing some fab work for yourself.
Yeah. It was, I always liked that kind of shows, like West Coast Choppers and all that way back in the day, right? So,
yeah. So then move forward from there. You got your ticket.
I did, yeah.
Yeah. So you be pressure welder, or what's just how many like that welding game's like a dozen tickets, isn't it?
Oh, there's a dozen tickets for every application, really. So
Yeah.
I never chased my B because I always found that unless you ended up somewhere like for a site itself, like you're always
Yeah.
chasing work all the time, and I really wasn't the biggest
Yeah,
fan
you
of
didn't want to
doing
get
that.
into pipes and stuff anyway. Eh? That's
Yeah, I
like
mean, I
that's
kind of
another
wanted.
game, that pipe fitting and stuff.
Yeah,
That's
it's
a different game.
there's different avenues for all of it, right? So
Yeah, no kidding. Eh? So from SMS, how long did you do there?
I was there from 2006 to 2012, and then I got a job at one of the main sites here in town, sort of looking after the welding, some structural analysis situations. I got to go to the P&H factory in Milwaukee. That was a cool trip.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Because the company that I was working for had ordered 2 shovels and they were late, and they sent 5 of us down to go find out why.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same set. Like that facility is massive. Like all those big components are all moved around on rail cars. So they have train tracks running to and from every shop in there. And they're, I think the oldest buildings are like 1903 and they're still standing, all brick.
Wow, eh?
Yeah, it's a pretty cool place to see. And like the safety rules aren't the same in the States as they are here.
There's a lot of history in a place like that too. Like how many machines have ever been built in that factory?
Oh man, it's like if you've ever seen a revolving frame hanging 30 feet in the air on a crane attached to the roof, that's something to see.
Yeah. Amazing, eh?
Yeah.
I hear they have guys on floating chairs that kind of suspend and bebop around welding shit, eh?
You could, yeah, in that situation. Yeah. Because like even like I think the booms for those big shovels are they have a secondary facility like a subcontractor.
Yeah.
So like we went over to that place and it was like the longest building ever, and there was like 2 or 3 booms in a row all getting welded together. It was pretty crazy. And they don't have like back then they didn't have like they don't have journeyman welders there, or at least they never used to. They'd have like 2 or 3, and they're only they would have it set up as like Joe Blow is like vertical only, right? So they would just train them as like welding operators.
Well, that's it.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it's different now, but that was a long time ago.
Basically a trigger monkey.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Just sitting there. All you're going to do is just, well, the assembly line process, right? That's all you're going to do.
It is giant assembly line, yeah.
That's amazing. So let's take a look at that. So you come from that's one extreme of welding, but being in the oil sands welding, what's that all about, man? Fill everybody in. What's like 30 below outside?
Well, it's good for working on your ice tan, that's for sure. But I don't know. You got to be. I don't even know how to word it. Like, it's something different for sure.
Just take a well. Give us a rundown of your typical day. You're going to go to work in oil sands today. So let's say you're on run and repair. You're in the shovel department, run and repair. You're going to come in as welder. What are you going to do for the day?
Well, first thing you want to do is make sure your truck starts.
Yeah.
Because it gets that's a little bit chilly. Nothing really works once you start to get below 30 below, right? Like, you got to. I mean, even in the welding world, say you're doing a big replacement of a body panel on a shovel or something or whatever. There's cranes involved, there's equipment involved, like all that hydraulics is super cold. And, like there's ice on everything, so metal on metal is already slippery. So then you add ice into that. It's just like, it's trying to hold on to a greasy banana, right?
Yeah. So when you're doing major components like crack repair and stuff like that on car bodies and shovels and that in the wintertime, what steps do you have to go through to get that thing done? I see you guys are Cooper heating the snot out of everything even before you start gouging. What's the theory on that?
Well, the Cooper heat, it most companies that manufacture this big stuff or anything will have some kind of procedure to follow to keep hydrogen cracking out of the situation, which is what the point of the Cooper heat is. It keeps a constant temperature.
Yeah.
Right. So like if you ever notice like you heat something up with a blowtorch and it looks wet in the middle of summer?
Yep.
So that's just moisture retained in the surface layers of the steel, right? So
okay.
The Cooper heat will dry that right through the whole component, whatever it is you're working. Like where I am now, we use it.
So if I was to start gouging out a crack with no preheating, and it's at like a 30 below or 20 below, well, what's going to happen?
Generally nothing, but it's the fact that what could happen. Like if there's a subsurface crack, it's just the same thing. Like imagine the microstructure of that steel. Like if you're dipping your hand in hot oil, it's the same thing, right? Like your first reaction is to pull it away, so the steel molecules pull. Like it's not just a big old chunk of steel. There's a lot to it, and like if you're one of those people that care about what you're doing, then you sort of retain that information as you learn, right?
Yeah.
Like throughout your apprenticeship and all that. Like there's no. I always tell, because even now, like we have a lot of apprentices for the amount of people we have, and like I always tell them, I was like, pay attention to when you're at school, and I said your journeyman ticket only allows you to start learning, right? Because you got to and if you want to go out in the world, especially on running repairs, whether it be trucks, dozers, graders, shovels, like you got to figure out how to get shit done by yourself, And when you're when you're a third party situation, it's worse because the big companies, the people that are tasked to help you, they sometimes don't really want to be that much help,
Yeah. So
So
a lot of times you're holding the torch all by yourself with no friends. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it wouldn't. I'd be lying if I said I only had to make a Herman Nelson out of a tiger torch and a rod bucket only once.
Wow, eh? Well, just try to get some heat going, eh? Wow.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite type of welding?
Well, it's hard to say. Like it's situational. Like if you were fabbing stuff in like a less than heavy situation, like anything that you could use. I'll say home industrial for like a new term. Like if you're building a trailer for yourself or anything like 1/8 a 1/4 inch wall, like using MIG, like a hardwire situation is pretty good. You can make that look pretty good. A lot of people hate TIG. I actually like it because it takes some skill to use it,
Yeah.
But and you get a better weld at the end of it anyway. But
so you like fab work more than repair on demand type of stuff?
Yeah, just because there's more brain involved, like
yeah.
There's a.
So if I come to you and I said, "Hey, Brian, I need you to build me something. Here's my idea. I want to hang a monkey off a tree that comes down from here and swings like this and hits the bell every second time." Is that your type of game?
Absolutely. Like even just simple like staircases into a trailer, man. Like if you can come up with that, figure out why. Like I always build mine an inch below the door handle so no one gets their hand pinched when the door opens.
Yeah.
Because I call it like with most things, I always I like to add the potato factor into things.
Potato factor. What is the potato factor?
So the potato factor would be like, I know I'm not supposed to stick my hand in this light socket, but somebody might. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The potato factor. Yeah. Okay.
So
yeah, I've never heard it called a potato factor.
Yeah, it's I may have come up with that on my own, but whatever.
This first time I've heard it described as the potato factor.
Yeah.
Right.
Like it's kind of like maybe do we need a guardrail up on top of this dipper? No, but somebody's going to sit too close to the edge.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Just when you think you made a stupid proof, someone proves you wrong, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I see I see that a couple of times. Yeah, we're allowed to say stupid on this podcast if you want, okay? So you don't have to dress it up too nice, there, Brian.
Yeah.
It's just going out to other mechanics who are sitting on night shift and stuff, right? So
Yeah.
it's kind of no, seriously, that's what prompted the podcast was on shovels up in Fort Hills for 3 months during the summer, and we're driving around the track picking this up and that up, and you know how we just set up for an outage and stuff, and we just get the chit chatting in the truck, and then Buddy goes, he said, man, he says, Eric says to me, he says, this would make a good podcast. You should put together a podcast. I said, oh, why the hell not, right? So now we got
Yeah.
guys all over the place in Australia and stuff listening, and they're looking for their weekly fix now and have something to chat about, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, it's turning into its own little monster, right? It wasn't part of the plan, but it was just a
Well, I mean,
labor.
whatever stuff happens for a reason, right?
Yeah, it's like I've written a book, and I want this year here. I want to transition my world into online coursing where you can buy courses from me on how to build a team and get shit done. And that book's actually called Onward Buttercups. Yeah, it's layman's guide on how to build a team that can get shit done. That's exactly it. That's worded up, eh?
Yeah.
And then from there, you'll be able to go online to my other website and actually buy different levels of that course depending on what problems you have within your business and stuff. And if you really get a lot of money, you might even be able to get an income consultant with you. So
Nice.
cool, huh?
I had a really good team when I was at Fort Hills. I was with the TCKMC, that joint venture.
Yeah.
And some of the Aussies, they were like, I think that they were just coming up here to visit and see how fucking cold it was. You
Yeah.
know?
That's what I'm seeing with Maynard. These guys are coming up to see the Northern Lights, but they don't understand it. Have to put in a little bit of cold time to see them. But
Yeah. I remember I was talking to the project manager, and he's like, man, I don't know how you guys do it. Like, I'm standing outside talking to him in a hoodie, and he's freezing his balls off, and it's minus 32. And he's like, I remember my last night on the tools. He said it was 18 degrees at night, and I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. And I looked at him and I said, 18? I was like, I don't even know if I'd have pants under my coveralls at 18, man. Like,
yeah, maybe some track pants. That's what it is, eh? Yeah, it's pretty funny watching the Aussies. Like I see that with Major Mining.
yeah,
It's pretty fun watching these young guys come up here that haven't experienced the North before, and man, they're in trouble in September.
yeah. They were great though. They were great to work with. Like, it was fantastic.
They go hard.
Yeah,
They love those guys love the work. Totally different work ethic than what we have in Canada, for sure. Absolutely,
Yeah.
those guys they're out there to get stuff done, and they're a lot of fun to work with. They
Yeah.
are a lot of fun. Keeping them safe. Like the young guys that never seen shovels before, I saw a lot of that over the last year and a half, and keeping them safe so they don't, get themselves in harm's way by good intentions.
yeah,
The road to hell is paved with good intentions, as we've heard so many times.
that's true.
So, Brian, another little side to you that we haven't talked about yet is that you do tattoo work, don't you? You do artwork.
I do, yes.
So you work out of your home. You have a tattoo shop. What's the name of your business?
I haven't taken it to that level.
That
might
level?
be this year thing. I just so I did work at a tattoo shop here in town for 5.5 years. I did a full apprenticeship, all that stuff.
Oh, as a tattoo artist.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm really fascinated with this. Of where the connection from welder to tattoo artist is. Like that's quite a.
Yeah. Well, I think it's just for myself. It just worked out. I got some I had tattoos before I moved up here. Not very many, but I wanted to get something done. Went into some random shop here, like, I don't know, 2007 or something.
Yeah.
And, I just talked to whoever was there. And anyway, turns out over the years, after getting a bunch of work done, me and my tattoo artist from then became like super good friends.
Yeah.
Which happens over time. That's a lot of, you're very involved with that person, right? Like, I want this, I don't want that, change this. And then they sort of learn how you are. And that helps decide for designs as well for people if you know them well. You can sort of
you're doing permanent artwork on a person.
Man, there is nothing
Yeah.
scary tattooing another human being for the first time ever. Like, the first one I ever did on skin was on my own leg, and I was like, well, if it fuck it up, who cares? It's my leg.
Yeah.
But on somebody else, like, you'll never sweat more in your leg. But no, it just worked out for me that, like, so one day I think I was just there hanging out because we used to ride motorcycles together, or when he had one up until 2 years ago. But I was just there just bullshitting one day, and he said, hey, he's like, hey, you want to do me a favor? I said, sure. He said, all we need to draw me a rose, but don't, like, don't trace anything, none of this stuff. And he said, you can use a picture for a reference, but don't trace any lines. And I said, that's a bit weird, but okay, whatever. So I went home and, like, sort of poked around and put my own sort of thing on it. And I brought it back down. I think I worked a set, then I came back down, brought it in. I was like, hey, here you go. He's like, oh, yeah. He's like, oh, it's not too bad. And he said, you want to learn how to tattoo? And I was like, fuck, yes, I do. So I luckily was very good friends with the person that taught me how. I didn't just YouTube it or try to figure it out. Like, there's a couple people here in town that did it that way through YouTube, and, like, it's not. Yeah. I don't really like it like that. Like, there should be some tradition maintained there. It would be like, it's like trying to start a mechanic or any apprenticeship, like, as a third or fourth year, right? Like, you're too far. Yeah. You can jump too far ahead and get yourself into trouble. Yeah. So I personally don't think that you should be allowed at all to buy that shit off eBay or Amazon or any of that. Because, like, you're technically, could be considered like surgical equipment, right? So yeah, it's got to be sterile. It's got to be clean. They shouldn't be able to buy that shit off of Amazon or any of that. Because I bought a color set off of eBay once just for, like, that fake skin stuff. Yeah. And one of the colors was medium brown, and it was spelled MEDIOM, and it was purple. So, like, these people that don't know any different, what the fuck are you putting into people's skin, right? Yeah. That's right. So, yeah. I don't like it, man. Like, there was a time where, like, if you didn't go through the proper channels and people found out you were tattooing, they'd show up, break your hands, and steal your shit. Oh, really? Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's kind of different just from the way the world is now, but it was not an easy industry to get into at all. Yeah, but you're into it now. So, like, what are you working for? Rotations, 7s, 14s, or? I am 7 and 7 right now. So you're 7 days on, 7 days off. So on your 7 days off, do you just go hard at tattooing, or do you just do tats on request, or? I usually, well, because my wife works 6 and 6, our schedules don't, like, hers always rotates backwards. Yeah. So like, there'll be big sections where, like, I'll barely see her, So yep. I try to, if I have somebody lined up, I try to put them into those days where, like, it's not going to interfere with, like, couple your time with her. Yeah. Like, she doesn't really care. I mean, she'll book nails appointments and shit in the middle of 5 days off, but like, it's not. I try to not let it overlap, because when I was learning, and probably for those whole 5.5 years, I was like that 5-4, 4-5 rotation. Yeah. I was, like, doing stencils at my one job, getting them ready, fucking be off, like, say a Friday, go to the shop Saturday to Tuesday, back to work Wednesday. It's a lot, man. And I did that for, like, 5.5 years. And wow. It'll overtake you, like, because you're trying to talk to people, you're trying to work. People are like, I want this, change that. And it's a lot, man. Like, I think for me, if commercial space wasn't so ridiculous here in town, I think I would just open my own and just cruise along. Yeah. I don't need a lot of space, but I mean, the places over the years that I've looked at doing it, they want like $8,000 a month minimum for like 1,000 square feet, and that's nuts. I really don't know how
small business survives in Fort Mac. I really don't. Like,
Well,
commercial.
I think that they honestly, they just make enough to pay their rent and their people, and that's it.
Yeah, probably. You're
Like
probably pretty accurate.
there's a ton of empty spaces here in town, and like even some you wouldn't even think of, like up in Gregoire there, that mall by the grocery store underneath. There's a whole section underneath that's empty.
That's empty. I just vacant.
Yep.
Once upon a time, you couldn't get a square foot in this town.
Oh man, there was people living underneath stairs for $800 a month here.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
And in closets, eh? And in closets, right?
yeah.
The closet. Yep, I can remember those days. But it seems the real estate hasn't compensated. Like commercial real estate hasn't dropped in price to reflect what's happening in real time, right?
Well, even so the main shop that I'm at right now, I know what that costs a month, and it's disgusting.
Yeah, astronomical.
And that's only, I think we're like 20,000 square feet for this. No, sorry, we're 11,000 at that one, and it's
that's not a very big shop.
No, that's why we had to split it into two, right?
Yeah. My
So
restaurant
Sorry?
My restaurant in Edmonton was 3,600 square feet, and that was 12,000 a month, plus 2,000 common.
Yeah, so you're like $45 a foot, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, $45 a square foot.
I think ours is like $60.
Yeah, it's nuts. That's crazy. That's crazy. You got to move some big numbers to make money at that, right?
You do, yeah.
Amazing. So that being said, why would you even consider going full time at Tatton? It's a lot easier.
It's the coolest thing I've ever learned how to do, man. Like,
yeah.
I mean, to be decent at it, like, takes a lot of practice, a lot of trial and error. Like, I've tried a lot of shit on myself before I would try it on a client, or at least have them like a really close person that I knew, like, hey, I want to try this. If it doesn't work, then whatever, right? But
why wouldn't you be like a hobby pig farmer or something on down waterways there? Get yourself some pigs, shave them up, and tat them all up, then butcher them up for bacon.
Right. Well, you can actually go to a butcher and get that. Like, there's far better options, thankfully now, but it's not unheard of for people to go get a chunk of pig belly and do it. But
and practice on that, eh?
Yeah, their hair is it's like shaving a toothbrush, right? So it'd be hard to.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I've tattooed just about every fruit on earth, myself.
Well, it's better than writing no regrets on your own leg, right?
Well,
do you know that song? Have you ever heard that song? Yeah. No regrets.
Yeah, there's so like the typical like one of the girl tattoos, they always get an anchor and it says refuse to sink. And we always thought, that's so weird. Like, isn't that an anchor's entire job is to sink?
Yeah, sink, yeah.
So,
yeah.
I still have it here in my iPad. I designed it like a life buoy.
Yeah.
That says that refuse to sink, and I just never got around to getting it done yet, but I'll get there one day.
Yeah. So what's the most favorite tattoo you ever did? What's the coolest tattoo?
I don't know. Like, they're all kind of. I think anything that's like original. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I did a super cool cover up for a guy on his chest, like a whole owl with like a skull in his claws and stuff. It didn't take very long. It turned out really awesome. I've done some pretty cool reminder tattoos for like AA and stuff like that.
Yeah.
More of a cartoon theme for that, but I don't know. Like I really enjoy doing it 99% of the time, no matter what it is, I don't really have like an absolute. I have some cool work in progress pieces, like my wife's leg is pretty cool, but she needs a year and a half to work herself up to sitting down in the chair, right? So.
Oh, really? That's a work in project, eh?
Yeah.
That one. I spent I spent some time in the Navy when I got out of high school back in the 70s. Like we're going back to the last century, buddy. Well back.
Yeah, yeah.
Back when you went to the tattoo artist and it was expected that you weren't you weren't sober, right?
Right.
And I knew one guy, like I'm talking 19 years of age, 20 years of age now. He's got the girl's name tattooed on his arm. The old proverbial don't put a name on you. And he had like Sally line through it, Jane line through it, Barb line through it. Yeah, had to work it right up one side, man. Just crossed them off, eh? Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, it's even that now, like it's considered bad luck putting someone's name unless it's like a dead relative or something. I usually try to steer around that. Like I'll be like, okay, instead of using their name, use a birth flower or something like that, right? Like
something symbolic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was 18 in the Navy. You hooked up with the first girl. That's what I did. I got Tasmanian devil on each shoulder and her name right down below it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. 2 years later, I'm in Auckland, New Zealand, and I'm getting scenery done to hide the name. Right. Yeah. But live and learn, eh? No regrets.
No regrets, man. Yeah, exactly.
No regrets. Yeah. So you got, yeah, tattoo can lead you down some funny roads.
Yeah, well, you got to be careful too because you might be getting somebody's initials or whatever, but it might mean something else to a different group of people.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah, I guess, eh?
Like as a tattoo artist, you have to be aware of what symbols mean what, and
especially dealing with gangs and stuff. Is that where you're going with that or what?
Yeah, like you could definitely get the wrong symbol put on you, or you could just think like, oh, I'm going to be super cool if I get this because I know so and so, and it just ends up being bad news for you.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that about tattoos.
Yeah, like honestly, you could get the wrong design in the wrong spot, and it means something in a totally different place, and you'd be in a bit of trouble.
Explain more. Elaborate on that. Like.
A lot of like I'll give you a prison example is like spider webs on your elbows.
Okay,
like a lot of people have that, and it's actually the original meaning was you've grown spider webs waiting for your day to get out, right?
Oh, out of prison.
Yeah.
So it's like a prison countdown.
Yeah, well, sort of, yeah. And then like you could get a star in the wrong spot, and that's like a Russian gang thing, or who knows. There's a lot, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah. You could
used to have a pig and rooster for knees in the Navy.
Oh yeah.
We're doing 7 seas, 5 oceans.
Yep.
Yeah, both tropics and the equators had its own tattoos and stuff for it. So yeah. I know where you're kind of going with that.
But I mean, the other thing too is like a lot of younger people, they're like, oh, I saw this tattoo on fucking TikTok or whatever bullshit. And like, they're like, I need to get it. And like, a lot of kids they were like, oh, I need a hand tattoo. No, you don't. Like, you can go anywhere and if you can find somebody to do it, that's cool. But we never used to do that. You'd have to have full sleeves, both sides first before your hands would get done at all.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's just like an old tradition.
Why so?
What's that?
Why so?
It's just that it used to be they used to be called job stoppers, right? So like,
oh yeah. Okay.
If you had a tattoo on your hand, most places like there's still a bit of stigma with it, right? So it's not like it is far more accepted now, but still, depending on your avenue of career path, it might hinder you or not, right? It depends on who's on the other side of the table.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah, not everybody embraces tattoos. It's more acceptable than what it was in the past, for sure.
Yeah, like if you like in our world, in the trade world, they're fucking everywhere. But
every mechanic wants a tat, man.
Yeah, but like
every wrench shop.
Like if somebody just take the engineering department for example, they've been told like by somebody that probably hasn't left that classroom in 20 or 40 years, like this is how life is. They might not know. And they get out and they're taught to be professional, be this way, act a certain way. And they get out around us orangutans and they don't know what's going on, you know?
Yeah.
Just because their pants are so tight you can't get them over your work boots doesn't mean we have to be.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. Tight on the ankles, a little bray. Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, sipping their homochino and the way they fucking go, right?
Yeah.
I give her, eh?
Yeah. I used to tell the engineers that I worked with, you might want to loosen that ring off. It's causing blood flow problems to your brain.
Yeah. Yeah. Not getting full oxygen up top, eh?
Yeah.
Just kind of like they're doing their own bottle watch, you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So I'm going to take you back to the welding world now. So, like, welding, what's the best welding job you ever had? Have you had anything that really give you any personal satisfaction out there? Or is it just a means to an end? Or
No, I mean, man, I've been in it a long time and I still like it, you know, like it's one of those trades where like if you take a bit of pride in what you're doing and you leave it looking nice, yeah, nobody's going to remember. If you leave a piece of shit all globby, whatever, somebody's like, you might as well write your name on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, in the mechanic world, someone strips a bolt, nobody's ever going to find out for like 3 more years until you got to take that bolt out again.
Yeah.
Right. No, nobody's going to remember, but you know, when you, I don't know, like if things look tidy and you do a good job, you kind of just, you know, you can take pride in knowing that, like that it's not going to let go. You did everything right, you know?
So that's your personal satisfaction. So that's that
like,
job satisfaction. Like I know myself as a mechanic, like when I hear an engine fire up or a machine fire up again and I hear it running and stuff, that's my reward.
Absolutely.
For doing that, right? So
yep.
That's what usually you're not looking for praise as much as you're looking for approval from the machine itself, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's just a problem solving game for mechanics. That's what we do. It's just problem solve, right? So
yeah.
And that's where our satisfaction comes in. But I've often wondered that with a welder, like, geez, like, and I don't know how you guys go with a car body and fucking gouge and confined space under air, and then fucking welder all up, man. Like,
well, nobody ever accused us of being sane doing that at the same time, right?
Man, that's a dangerous game. That is.
Yeah, it is.
It's
how
do you gouge in there and not get yourself burnt? Oh, the fuck! Like,
well, I mean, obviously you want to take as many precautions as possible, but sometimes it's like standing in a blast furnace. You're not really going to get away from all of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we used to doing those shovels and stuff. We used to like duct tape our collars right up and our sleeves up and Kevlar sleeves on everything and fucking leather coats. And you're sweating your balls off. It's 400-degree Cooper heat in there. Like it's not a good time. No. But thankfully, due to like work rules, you can only be in there like 2.5 hours at a time or 2 hours, right?
2 hours in a blast furnace at 400 degrees, man, that's a little high. The human body is 97 degrees. Water starts to boil at 212.
Yeah, we used to joke and be like, "You cook a turkey at 325. What the fuck are we doing?"
yeah, I cook a turkey at 325 there, and then what are you doing in there at 400, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's like that dumbfounds me every time I see that. Like, yeah, 40 below, you come out sweating pretty hard there, man.
Yeah, well, like, it's. I mean, it's not. That's like an extreme situation of like heavy repair, right? So
yeah,
in the generality of it, you're never gonna. Most people don't. You got to be a certain type of person to do that. Like, I've seen guys like we've had guys be like, "Fuck that! Take me back to the shop. I'm not doing this." Because like, you get in those little compartments. It's basically like jumping inside your oven at 400 degrees, and then having a lava fight, right? Yeah. But like, it's it's loud and it's hot and it's gross. It's, you know, like you can feel the dust on you like instantly because you're already sweating, and it's like gritty dust because it's blowing everywhere, and like it's not a good time, but it's also not. You don't have to go back in for the rest of the day. You just go do something else, right? But when I was at the other oil company there, we changed the way that happens now. So the supplied air, all that is all gone now. So we changed it to a forced air system. So you can actually just wear like one of those ad flows that has the air filter on, and it's not hot. It's far more comfortable.
So it gives you a better air exchange rate too, right?
Yeah, because you're blowing air in at whatever CFM and you're sucking it out, and it doesn't get smoky. Like if something happens and you knock your helmet, like you're not going to breathe in just pure black air.
Yeah.
So it's much better now, but.
Well, that's a nasty game, that is.
It's pretty gross, but.
So what would be your dream tattoo client? I'm going to take it back to tattooing now. So what would be your dream client? You say, fuck it, this is the guy I've always wanted. Well, the perfect client to be a tattoo canvas to work with.
I don't know. I've had some pretty good ones. As long as the person like understands the importance of sitting still, you know, it's like there wouldn't be much of like a dream client. It's just some people after a while they understand and they'll just sit still. Like myself, when I'm getting work done in uncomfortable spots, I'll like fucking curl my toes the wrong way, but like whatever is being tattooed won't move. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, even over time too, like I can tell if somebody's gonna flinch because I got my hand on them, right?
Yeah.
So like I can feel, I know where it hurts because I have tattoos in those spots for sure. So like I'll tell them, I'll usually pre-warn them like, hey, I got to do this big long line. It has to be straight. You can't flinch. Like, you know, grit your teeth, do whatever you got to do or whatever. But you know, I don't have a heavy hand, I guess, because I spent a lot of time focusing on that early in my career path for that.
Yeah.
Because there's a certain depth you want to be at, right? So
what's the weirdest body part you ever tattooed?
Nowhere.
Oh, Brian, coughing up, man. Just tell me.
No, nowhere weird. Like I've done some like decorative stuff, like on like this area, right?
Yeah.
And like it's really not an easy area. There's not really anywhere weird that I've tattooed. There's tricky spots for sure. Yeah. Like there's areas where your skin is thinner because it has to stretch more. Just that's how it is. Like collarbone stuff, like it's kind of stretchy right there. It's a little bit hard to work on. You got to set people up right, and I don't know.
Rib cages, tough to do.
No, because there's something behind it. But like if you get below that,
sensitive though, eh?
What's that?
That's pretty sensitive in on a rib cage.
Well, like I would never get a tattoo there because like it is not a good spot. Like, but if you get below the ribs, there's nothing to push against. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just guts. So it's tricky. It's definitely tricky.
Wow. Yeah, because you can't stretch the skin to get it tight because it distorts your picture.
Well, the nice thing about skin is as soon as you let go, it comes back. So if your lines are good beforehand, it really doesn't matter what it looks like while you're doing it. As soon as you let go, it comes back, right? So
is that what you do? Create stencils for everything and then flick a stencil down on them? Or do you do the artwork on the person? So let's say you're going to do a complicated back for me. That's going to take 4 or 5, maybe 10 sessions, right?
Yep.
You can't put a stencil on there and leave it there, right?
No, but you can break it up into sections though, right? Like you can, well, for me, the program I use, I can do your stencil. I can do the whole thing, and then I can take sections of it out, right?
Oh, so do you use software
sometimes
to break your artwork?
Yeah.
So you freehand your artwork and then turn that into software, create a stencil, and then use the stencil on the person?
I can do it multiple options. Like I can do the whole design digitally, and then I can just keep the outline of it, right? And then I can use that as a stencil. I can separate it into like paper size sections, and I can tape them all together and then put the whole thing on you so you can see what it looks like. Or I can just take a picture of your back and put it right on your back, and you can see what it looks like at the end.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool shit.
Yeah, it made a humongous difference with the digital art side of it.
Yeah. So artistically, did you take any formal art training, or do you have natural artistic ability? Or if I open a tattoo shop,
I don't know. I was always doodling stuff, but nothing major.
Yeah.
But it never.
So have you acquired art skills over your time tattooing and stuff?
So many. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like even just simple black and gray stuff. There's a way to like get your shading to look right so it doesn't look all sketchy. But then there's different versions of that shading depending on what style the person wants it done in. You know what I mean? Like there's so much to it.
Yeah, I'm in awe of people that have that artistic ability, be it writing songs, singing, or doing tattoo work. Like if I was to run a competitive shop against you, I'm doing is stick figures. That's all I'm doing, right? Like it's going to be pretty simple. It's going to be fucking brutal. Is what it's going to be. It's going to be like prison art or something.
Yeah.
Like.
You had a lot of years of practice of drawing dicks on people's toolboxes, so like.
yeah. That's where the skills come from, eh?
Yeah.
One little detail at a time, eh?
Yeah.
So you don't advertise though, Brian.
No.
Neat thing, eh? People seek you out now, eh?
Yeah. Some do. I haven't really pushed it that hard as of the last couple of years because we've been doing some life rearranging and stuff like with the wedding and all that stuff. So I haven't had a whole lot of time where I can focus on that stuff.
Yeah.
But we're in the middle of house shopping for a new place here. So having the studio is definitely in the requirements. So
of the new place, eh? There's the way to do that. So working on your house. I was got a lady going to be jumping on a podcast with me here. Her episode will probably air in February sometime, but she's a project manager, gold seal carpenter, and she does lashes and stuff at home.
Oh yeah.
And actually, I found her on Facebook Marketplace to get some teeth whitening done.
Yeah.
Let's call it so. And one conversation led to another, and she's like another one such as yourself that's within the industry. She's a licensed carpenter, but she's a project manager now that has a side business at home.
Well, man,
right?
Like you almost have to now. Like it's only well, I mean, thankfully there's some government things happening right now, but I mean,
you can say it. Trudeau's out the fucking door, pal.
Yeah, fuck that guy. But like I honestly was like, I wouldn't be that shocked if they came out with a way to track and tax Facebook Marketplace purchases and shit like that, right?
I don't think they're far off of that, in all honesty.
Because if you think about how they're looking at, like, people are like, don't really get how they look at stuff too. They're, like, okay, so let's say lotteries and stuff. Like, oh, there's the next lottery is $50 million. Well, that's all money people buying tickets. That's not just some random pot of money, right?
Yeah, that's right.
They do that. They look at Facebook, all like they could probably, I'm sure somewhere, click a tab and there's how many dollars worth of shit for sale and how much is sold, because not everybody tracks it, but it's close, right? And they can do that with
all our banking information right now.
Yeah, and the people are still spending money. We're getting taxed out the ass and can't afford anything, but people are still buying things they really don't need.
People are impulse buyers, though.
Oh man, have you seen that? It's on Netflix. It's called Buy Now.
No, I've never seen that. Is that a series, an episode, or?
It's a documentary on how much is pushed towards the the public to consume products.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
You should watch it, man. It is absolutely astonishing. Like just the way an Amazon page is set up has every aspect of that, including the like, you know how sometimes they're like, buy it now for $20 and it's in green.
Yeah.
That has been all studies done to prove that green outsells blue, outsells purple. Like the whole page is set up to make you press that button.
Isn't it amazing, eh? All with subliminal suggestions.
Yep.
That's just amazing.
It's crazy. Like I watched it just before Christmas and I haven't bought one thing since then.
Wild, eh?
Yeah, it's
people,
nuts.
But you see that even with big ticket things like sleds and bikes and stuff. Like over the years, I've watched so many guys buy shit to impress people that they don't like.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like John's a dick over there, and you get a new Harley. Well, I'm gonna get a fucking Harley Power Glide, man, with fucking blah 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 blah. Better park just behind him just to fuck with him, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like
people.
You know, like I mean, depending on where you are here, like guys will buy new bikes just because they need new fucking tires.
Amazing, eh? Yeah. Absolutely.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
You're perpetually in debt if you have that mindset. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you see a lot with young guys, coming here, man, and like they're making 6 digits, hockey bags of money, and they get payments out the yin yang on everything. Like they're toyed right to the max, right?
Yeah.
I myself, like I'm well past that. So I spent like, even when it comes to TV and stuff, I don't do a lot of TV anymore. Like I do a lot of writing for the podcast here. I'm writing for books. I'm researching. I'm reading. I'm learning. And the downtime I get is usually at work, waiting for a shovel to come down for a PM or whatever. And I get a lot of TikTok time and stuff like that. So, but to see young guys and see where their dreams and aspirations are, and like you said, it's guided a lot by consumerism, right?
Yep.
And marketing techniques. And actually, I'm going to be using those techniques when I launch my website for training and stuff like that. Like I've got a marketing plan laid out for 2025. I've got this laid out, that laid out, and already I've looked in the colors of my website, the upcoming website, colors that imply trust and stuff, and all kinds of things. It's just amazing how the human mind can be controlled and directed in specific ways, right?
Yeah.
So, fucking little buzzword time. I just throw some fucking little rapid fire questions at you. So,
sure.
All right. Have you ever thought of using your MIG welder like a tattoo needle?
I've done it inadvertently. You let the.
So you get a flash of a tattoo and you kind of did a little tattoo on something before you built it, right?
Well, no, I like, early when you're learning how to weld and stuff, you throw your whip down because you're gonna get your chipping hammer out, and then like the wire sticking out the end, like it comes down and stabs in your leg, and you're like, fuck. Now I got a black mark for 2 weeks till that heals. Yeah, it's a good time.
So you use your MIG welder as the needle?
Yeah, inadvertently I did. Yeah.
Inadvertently, eh? But you have written things like with MIG welder inside compartment or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We've done that lots.
Yeah. Just with buddies inside this compartment 4 years from now, he's going to see this one.
But yeah, you can write stuff behind, like especially like overlay plate in buckets and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Eventually, it's coming off, right? Somebody's going to find it. Find a big "You Suck" 1925 or whatever.
So overlay plates, eh? So a guy's looking for a welder's hidden stuff. It's going to be in an overlay plate.
Yeah.
Deadly. Pretty cool. So what do you think of this big Diddy fiasco? You checking out any of that stuff? Is that not entertaining or what?
Honestly, I never really follow it that close. Like my wife would know more about what's going on, but like, I don't know. I could honestly give a shit, really. Like, you got all these people with that much money and you're bored because it's not like they have stuff to do or like they aspire to learn something. There's no guidance. They're just like sitting on a big pile of money thinking, what am I going to do with myself? You know?
It's almost like a reality show. You know what I mean? Like to me, it always seems surreal, right?
It's true. But like, I mean, without getting too tinfoil hatty about it, like,
yeah,
I think that the hole is so deep that they really don't know what to do right now. So they're kind of panicking because I don't think that they were counting on the population having this much access to information at all the time.
Yeah.
You know? So I don't know.
Now the word's out, they don't know what. Yeah, what's what, right?
Yeah, I think it's deeper than just that group anyway.
So I'm going to date this broadcast here now and ask you this next question. You think we should be the 51st state or what? Should we become part of the United States, give up on Canada, or should we fucking trudge along, hope for a better day? And
well, I would say two options. Alberta becomes its own thing.
Country, yeah.
And
I'm big on that. I
mean, if you look at just the equalization payments that come out of Alberta and go to the rest of the country, it's gross. Yeah. Like, there's no reason we couldn't have buggy whips on Lamborghinis in this motherfucker. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But if we were to become part of the states, I want my wage in American dollars.
Yeah, no shit.
And I want to be an open carry state.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm good with that.
Like, we'll just be North Texas. That's all, you know?
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm 100% good with that. And that, you know, Alberta joining the states or becoming its own, that cures a lot of problems for Canada, because as soon as we leave, then you're net zero with your emissions. So you achieve your greenhouse goals that you wanted anyway. You just guys been voting for the last 10, 15 years or whatever you want. So that gives that to you, and then we can move along in our own route.
Yeah.
So do you think we get rid of the left? Well, we'll go very hard politics now. So if we get a change in government, do you think we save the country or not?
Not right away. And I would hope that people don't expect it to happen at all in the first 2 or 3 years. Like, there is such a shit pile of things to undo or refigure out that you're not going to see much change at all for a little bit. The only thing I would say that it'll affect will be like people's confidence in like the stock market. Maybe a couple pipelines will get approved in a year or two, but it's definitely not going to be right away. Because like, I'll just say, like, in the situation that I'm in currently with work, I'm kind of feeling like Poilievre after Trudeau. Like, every folder you open, you're like, what is this bullshit? You know what I mean? So you have to sort all that out and reorganize everything and restructure it so it flows properly. It's a lot of work, man.
If anything has come good out of this stall and the status of Parliament right now, where the country can't do anything, is that it has held Bill C-63 and 67 at bay there. That's a censorship bill. You see what's happening in Great Britain, where they're throwing people in prison for fucking Facebook posts?
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's what King fucking Sparkle Socks won't fucking do here.
I know.
That was the same game.
I'm not even sure he's so self-centered he can't even see the daylight on the outside. You know what I mean?
Yep. No, he's not within Canada. And that's where I'm kind of going with it being 51st state, because he's worked very hard the last 9 years to destroy the Canadian identity as we know it.
Yeah.
Right. And he's done that with mass immigration. You see what he did with the passport. He eliminated every Canadian icon off the passport and then put his own personal murals up there.
Yeah. Well, like, you could have a whole series just on that jackass, but like, yeah, there's other countries where they started by taking the guns away and it didn't end up good. Like,
never does.
You know what I mean? Like, they don't just take them away for no reason, just because they're scared.
No, it's right.
And then, like, the media pushing the whole like AR BS. It's just
that's crap.
like it's only the body work. It doesn't mean anything.
Yep.
You know, like that's like saying like, oh, this is an AR vape because it's black.
Yeah.
Right? It's stupid.
Yeah.
You can do just as much damage with a wood grain stock as you can with a black stock. It doesn't mean
yeah,
anything.
it doesn't. Yeah, but it doesn't even affect crime. We taking away rifles from people that are responsible and hunters and stuff like that. You're not fucking stopping crime anyway.
No.
That's like you have an impaired driver, so you take everybody's car away.
Exact same, yeah.
Yeah, it don't work the fucking way, right? It's just fucking brutal. Cool. All right. Well, that's about it. So I just had to get you sparked up before I let you go for the day, Brian.
Yeah. Now we're gonna go drive in the snow and hopefully not have any road rage, right?
Yeah, no kidding, eh? Yeah. This next 24 months in the oil sands here is gonna be very interesting, right? So we're looking.
Well, I mean, like some of the issues are hopefully in the next, I would say five-ish years going to relieve themselves. Like you still have a couple of these like really old school CEOs that are hanging on to these big companies.
Yeah.
And they don't really, it seems to be like a vicious cycle. Like they come in, like some company will get a new one. They'll not spend any money on anything. They'll get a huge fat $40 million bonus because they saved a bunch of money. And then the same shit is the next guy's problem, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yep. And then they pass it on down the line, right?
Yeah. And
then they have retention issues and all kinds of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then they can't get people, and they'll change their spin, right?
Yep.
Yeah. It's a cycle. It's almost like a 7-year cycle.
Yeah, 7 to 10. I've seen things. Well, I mean, some of them are on their third time trying the same shit. You know.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah. The only thing I know right now, if we don't get rid of the idiot in the fucking cockpit, or the fucking Canada's going to be on the episode of Discovery.
Yeah.
Right. We're going to come in like a fucking lawn dart.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Right now, so fucking wild. Brian, that's pretty cool, man. I'm going to let you go for the day. Right. I really appreciate your time. And once again, for followers on Gears of Trust, watching January, you're going to see me doing some posts on Facebook and Instagram, TikTok. And I'll be pushing the book once we get it right to market here. We're like mere days away, and that's been a year and a half in the making. Looking forward to that. Brian, thanks for introducing me to the world of tattoos. I didn't realize there was that much in behind the scene of tattoos, but I knew your name was out there. Pretty cool. If anybody's looking for tattoos or whatever, get a hold of me. I can put you in touch with Brian. Brian, once you make a harder push of this, let me know. We'll get you back on again. And you can show us some of your artwork. Sound cool?
Absolutely. That sounds good, man.
All right. So thanks for tuning in to Gears for Trust. Thanks for following. Once again, I'm on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the good stuff, my YouTube channel, TikTok, and the whole drill, man. So like, follow, subscribe. Helps a little, guys. Thank you so much. We'll be looking forward to talking to you next time. Okay, bye-bye. Thanks, Brian.
Yeah, thanks, man.